series. It could be great. Let's start it off in the bottom right-hand side with the blue Terran player from Cosmos Esports. We have got souL. Top left-hand side, our red Protoss is ShoWTimE. As we kick off into game one of this series, I'm excited to see what comes out on some of the new maps as well. ShoWTimE, I think, is always a really good standard player to watch to figure out what the new maps look like, how they're going to be played. ShoWTimE will not be afraid to play late game if late game is good on these maps as well, which is very cool to see. So yeah, I really think that this could be a very, very fun one. And as we get set up into this here, game number one. So we got an assimilator, a gateway, and dropping down to begin with. Going to be seeing our Terran across the map. Just going to be building up a barracks already. So Rax coming through on that main base, and yeah, Rax, then the gas. No real surprises here. So what's interesting about romanticide? Well, romanticide, to me, big map, big macro map. You know, you look at 3 bases, cool, 4 bases, easily taken. I really think, like, yeah, this is stretched out, but it's all so set back. Now, you can actually take 4 bases pretty easy. The biggest problem is, like, a Zealot run by here, something in the main at the same time. That's difficult to deal with. And maybe as a Terran, then you prefer to take this forward base. But as a Protoss, I think you can take these 4 bases, then you take a step forward into base 5 and 6. Yeah, I mean, this can really go long because it can be very difficult to kill somebody on 4 bases on this map. This can absolutely then draw out to that much later stage of the game that we so often talk about. So we'll see how this plays. Very beautiful map. I see people in the chat commenting on that as well. Yeah, I love the color scheme of this one. I mean, the pinks, the purples, they just kind of stick out here on romanticide and on a lot of maps that they get used on. I like it because, like, the rest of the map is kind of like plain, and I'm not going to say boring, but it's a very plain map, right? It's not over the top, but the pink really makes it something. Anyway, enough about the map aesthetics, as we do have the ShoWTimE Stargate in the natural expansion. So by going into that Stargate, he's already opening. I mean, a little bit cheeky, right? Stargate here. Maybe if souL gets a scout off, then he'd be able to be like, ooh, what, you know, where's that extra pylon? Where is the unit on the map or the building on the map? When in reality there isn't one. ShoWTimE will not be scouted anyway, though, because souL didn't open with the Reaper. He went straight for the Marine, and that means nice fast factory, nice fast reactor. And some early Hellions then on the way from souL coming out in this main base. Adept from ShoWTimE going to shade down the left-hand side to try and see where it can get to, what it can get up to. Answer is nowhere just yet, as the Nexus continuing to Chrono Boost out. A couple of Hellions about to pop. The extra Marines still on the way out as well. So all of this still coming on in, as we do see our Adept. For a moment was making its way through the top side of the map, but doesn't commit through there just yet. Hallucinated Oracle. I like this, just a hallucinated Oracle. And then you actually have a real Phoenix being made. And he's just going to stack Phoenix in this natural. So ShoWTimE defensively is going to be really well set up, because he's going to be able to use these Phoenix to lift up Hellions. They actually deal good damage to the Hellions, so you're likely to get some good kills on that. And then obviously you can chase down this medevac as well. Now it is 6 Hellions. And 6 Hellions will be that little bit more difficult to deal with than the 4. Naturally, more numbers are generally more difficult to deal with, but it does mean that it can't just be these Phoenix. You do need a wall off elsewhere, because 4 Hellions are going to drop. The other 2 Hellions are going to run in. Or did he lift up the Marines? I even lifted up the Marines. So he's really going with a lot of units right now. I think ShoWTimE might even want to try and set up a little bit of a wall off here. Problem is, these Phoenix are chasing the Hellions. He's going to see that there's 6 of them, and now he's going to see the medevac. And now ShoWTimE, I think, realizes the issue. He doesn't get the wall up in time. Sentry is here, but too late to do anything. Didn't have the energy anyway, right? Was low energy from the previous hallucination. 6 probes go down early. Now extra Phoenix showing up, and he gets a couple of extra lifts off, but you've still got 2 Hellions running rampant in the mineral line. And that's 10, 11, 12 workers killed. souL, well, he loses absolutely everything when it comes to the army, but he kills 13 probes, taking a worker lead in the game with 2 command centers of mules to build up off of. And he says, behind this, I want to go 3CC. I'm going to play economy from this advantage. And that's going to offset a lot of what ShoWTimE would try and do with the Phoenix, because the super fast third base will just help him rebuild anything that these Phoenix might get rid of. Pink coming in, a couple SCVs going down. Robo Bay of ShoWTimE coming up in the main base. Yeah, the few Phoenix just making their way around. Gonna go along the right. A few Marines coming through. A couple of Viking shots. Gonna bring those couple of Phoenix that little bit lower. I'm just gonna see how engineering bays are being picked away at. So, engineering base taking some shots. More shots onto that Phoenix as it gets chased up the right-hand side. A couple of extra racks coming into play. Everything looking good, I'd say, for souL. Right? Like, I feel like this is, I'd say everything's looking okay here for souL. Pushes ShoWTimE back. And ShoWTimE just not getting much done with these Phoenix at all. Now, he is on the way to a third Nexus. He has set up into his Colossus behind this, which was the expected go-to. Which is obviously thrown off heavily by that big attack. You know, this huge point where he lost a whole bunch of workers. Of course, it's been chrono boosting big time to get back into that advantage. This is where the third CC of souL comes into play. He's going to be able to take that third CC, put it in position. He's going to be able to mine a lot from that souL. That 3 CC, going to pump up that SCV count nicely as well. I like where it's going for sure. Backing the way up the right side. Twilight Council finishes up as our 2 gates will power this as well. This should be charged first, unless he really wants to protect the Colossi a lot more with the Stalkers. Charge just helps you out, especially if this is like a tank follow-up. That's the real weakness of the Colossi in the first place, right? Colossi and Stalkers all taking bonus damage from those tanks. You know, from a distance, those tanks can be very hard to then engage into. The charge lots really work well against them, because the charge lots are good at tanking the shots. They close the gap quickly with the charge, similar as how the Stalkers would with the blink. It makes it's just a much more playable composition against what souL is likely to do from here on out, given the fact he's playing against Colossi, because you don't see a lot of players who will just mass Vikings straight away nowadays. You know, tanks are the go-to, and that's why charge lots are then the go-to. Two Vikings off over the left side. Bio-Army of souL pushes up to the top, and he's going to get aggressive, of course. This is where we really get to test what ShoWTimE has after those early losses. Has he been able to get enough army up and being put behind early? It's definitely a little bit tough. +1 attack charge coming through, but a bio up to the top, and yeah, I mean, this is scary for ShoWTimE because you got to deal with, I mean, this army, you know, potentially a drop around the map as well. You can't just ignore that possibility. Good first force fields, though, and he gets to clean up on a few initial units, and that will definitely be a confident booster. And he's got this across the map, Prism, about to fly into the main base, which is completely undefended, by the way. Nothing at all in the main, if that's where ShoWTimE is looking to strike, so look forward to that as Widow Mines. But we're up here, no detection, however, and so it will be a couple probes killed until the Observer shows up. Observer. No, don't send all the probes back, ShoWTimE. This is still active over here. I don't think he realized that. He loses 3 more. I don't think he realized that that was still active at all. And now these Stalkers are still here, though. Not sure about that, but ShoWTimE doesn't target fire the medevac, so he actually will lose a couple Stalkers. Now he's going to get a Widow Mine off onto his units. Oh, everything's getting a little bit messy. I feel like he may as well have just finished off that medevac, right? Then you also stop the healing behind this. He does lift those Widow Mines before they fire again, but hello, third base. souL going to make an attempt at this, like the movement of the Marines, pulling those away, letting the Marauders tank the damage, but he says in the end it's just not going to be enough to really take it down. It's not worth losing these units. That's just going to be seeing the Bio-Army back around the right-hand side. Ghost Academy setting up from souL. So he's going to get into all of these ghosts. I like it, right? 3 bases, going up to 4, getting the Ghosts, getting the Vikings, getting all the tools to properly engage this Protoss army, as ShoWTimE really is just kept back, kept unable to act. War Prism went down, by the way. Didn't actually do much at all in the end. souL handles that pretty well. I really thought that War Prism was going to be kind of a hope of the future. souL's Bio-Army going to come along the left-hand side. Is going to make his way into the fourth, so he's going to pick this off. Nexus goes down very quickly. Ghost on the way up. Going to be seeing the 2-2 upgrades just coming in on the engineering base. And 2-2 coming in from our Protoss play as well. So upgrades are pretty even. There's a slight upgrade, attack upgrade lead for the Protoss. Slight armor upgrade lead for the Terran. Those Zealots just decided to keep on moving forward, so they're going to go down. That's obviously not pretty. At the same time, Widowmine drop comes in. Doesn't get enough done. Only a couple probes. That's not bad. Again, decent defense from the Phoenix. Just needs to get some detection here and realize there is still one Widowmine. Otherwise, he's in some trouble. Cannon's on the way up. We'll be here in time to clean that out. That goes down as we pass the 11 minutes of the game. So heading toward a later stage. ShoWTimE's been under all the pressure. He's not been able to move out. He's had one Prism, he's had the few Phoenix, and that is it. His main army really hasn't moved any further than what will be his 4th base. He also opts to take the forward 4th base here. It might be more of a Zerg thing to take these bases along the top side, and more of a Protoss and Terran thing to take these bases here, and maybe even continue to the left after that as well. Possibility, just because of how drops and Warp Prism play works and how the dynamic of that affects this matchup. So I wanted to charge in on top of this bunker, but well, there's just not enough of them to really do anything, right? They're not gonna, even if they kill the bunker, what next? And it's not like souL is being distracted elsewhere as well, right? You know, if souL's also up on the top side, then maybe it's worthwhile because they're gonna get rid of this, they're gonna continue through, get a few SCVs. When souL is watching, he's just, you know, there's nothing to distract him, so there's no reason to give up those Zealots. Against a Terran, he's just going to respond with his entire army, getting over there and cleaning this out. Now, this is a larger army from ShoWTimE that is going to come into the same position. souL just added on a few depots over here. First EMPs go down. Archons are basically deleted. 3 Archons just got like triple EMP'd, and that was it. Shields were gone. 10 HP left on each of them. At the same time, souL's got an army around the top, and I don't think ShoWTimE has anything here to fight this. He didn't have the energy to recall to this next until just now. So now he actually might end up losing this space. Super Battery goes down to buy time. The Disruptor Shot comes through to push souL back. ShoWTimE, he did recall to the natural. He will get a few Zell Warpins. Wow, ShoWTimE had to pop everything he had right there to keep this base up and running. The recall, the Super Battery, the Warpins, the Disruptor that it spawns. And he does keep it alive. Great save from ShoWTimE from a little tricky position. Really good effort from souL. I mean, now you've set every cooldown of the Protoss player off as well, right? Shield Battery on cooldown. Recall on cooldown. Now what from ShoWTimE? If you get caught out of position again, well, you won't be, because he's going to sit back at home. By sitting back at home, it gives souL space to work with. So he will not be upset about that in the slightest. Looks like Colossus pushing this bio army back just a little further. Now as Zealots coming through the south side. Gonna be coming in and charging straight in on top, so yeah, his Zealots come back. This time there's just a lot of bio here, never mind the fact there's no bunker. If the bio shows up in that kind of number, you're just not having a good time. ShoWTimE's gonna try and take a fight in the middle. Hey, to be fair, these bio units were kind of on their own. Oh, he gets the full medevac! ShoWTimE, what a catch! Oh, what a catch that is. The 2 Disruptor Shots were amazing to begin with, but then the Stalker's actually getting the shot on the full medevac. Everything bar 3 medevacs of souL on the top side go down. That is huge. Well, I'm just going to see this cancel on the top right. A 5-base souL is now going up to be, now going up against a 5-base ShoWTimE. In the next few moments here, Archons and Colossi still moving down the bottom. Liberator got caught. Took some damage. Is going to go down. Liberator gets picked off. You're going to see Zealot, Stalker, Archon, Colossus coming through here. Takes down a Lib. Another couple Disruptor Shots coming through as well. EMPs are good straight on top of the Archons. No look for anything in that scenario. Is another Disruptor that doesn't quite connect. And another one. And another one. Yeah, I mean, just using the Disruptors to help him disengage. But he actually loses all the Colossi. He loses a couple Disruptors as well. Wouldn't say it's a bad time for souL. He's just building masses of command centers so he can keep on expanding. And I think ShoWTimE might just have to try and play this late. But we've seen a lot of Terran players very comfortable playing late game TVP the last couple of days. Kira on the stream earlier today, he said he was inspired by Maru, who obviously played in the GSL yesterday. ShoWTimE moves up, and you see a 6th base trying to establish. Well, yeah, ShoWTimE needs Stargates, and he needs a Fleet Beacon. He's got a Stargate, so he can go Fleet Beacon right away, but you get into that Liberator count where realistically you just need Tempest to fight it. Nick was up in the sky. It's coming down on this base over here. Few probes getting caught, but ShoWTimE identifying it for the most part. We're at such a tricky stage of the game. I like this. DT's gonna run in. Gonna blink in on top of this. Is that enough to take down this base? It may not be. SCV's repairing or doing a decent job. He might just about get it. At the same time, there was the medevac that came in with Marauders to try and snipe this base. That'll be unsuccessful. But the 5th base of ShoWTimE just died. Liberator's got sieged up here. You will not break that position. And that's what I mean about things getting crazy. There's a Liberator, then there's a drop. You've got these DTs that made a play on the right side. Everybody is looking a little bit of everywhere at the moment. And both players are actually finding damage. I mean, ShoWTimE would say taking a bit more serious damage right now. Damage that I wouldn't expect him to survive against as easily. Another nuke going to line up. Just going to try and hit this base. Especially great if the Protoss tries to run in to defend this and doesn't realize the nuke is there. 14 probes went down. The SCV kind of souL is down to 50 anyway. Oh no! He ran into the nuke! Oh, souL, he's done a Maru! He's literally watched too much GSL! souL, what have you done? Oh my god, he literally just made his way into a nuke, and well, yeah, like I was saying, they've been studying a lot of TVP lately from the GSL, and that was one of the maneuvers. Maybe not quite the one we were expecting. Okay, well, that's problematic. souL eats his own nuke, and that actually probably just turns this game for ShoWTimE, right? That's a lot of bio that just gets cleaned up without ShoWTimE having to fight it. The Stalker's gonna get that Liberator. Here we go, coming through. Just gonna be seeing a couple disruptor shots. Want to go down the Colossi, get picked off pretty much immediately, and yes, souL is still okay defensively. I mean, put it this way, he just ate a nuke and he's still kind of okay. So now think about the position he was in. He was game-winning position for sure. Oh no. Well, right now ShoWTimE's goal is to try and deny some of these bases. He's going to lose one of his bases up here though. We're just going to base trade. Is that where we're going to? These Stalkers, they see the Liberator, needs to respond. We're just going to base trade apparently. I'm still not 100% sure about ShoWTimE's army because it's just disruptors, right? So you're relying on these little disruptors and there's nothing else to back you up. Like, absolutely nothing else to come in behind this. A lot more probes still going down. A DT in the mix, starting to deal some damage. I mean, there's not a lot of orbitals remaining in the game. A lot of them are actually up in the sky, so there's not many scans. A few more DTs may be the way to make this work. ShoWTimE now he blows his own army up there, wanting to join in on the fun. Links forward, finishes off the planetary fortress. Bio army to the top side, gonna find the Nexus on the 12 o'clock. SCVs are running, they're gonna run into probes and the expansion. It's actually a lot of the remaining SCVs. It's 9 of the 24 that remain. The rest are just in the natural for the most part. They must be scattered around here and there as well. ShoWTimE, let those probes there, let those SCVs go. And he's going to try and push up over here. There's a Liberator he needs to get rid of for sure. There's a Disruptors to back him up as well. Dark Shrine is still up, but ShoWTimE has no gas to work with, and he's not got gas in the main, so ShoWTimE can't warp in anything else than what he's already got. His money's just too low. Disruptor shot on the ramp did well. Again, it's the problem against the Disruptors. Oh my god, he takes another shot. Obviously, the last thing you need right now is souL is to be losing units to Disruptor shots. Especially like that, in those kind of numbers. Rest of the bio out down the bottom. Liberators and Vikings are still setting up. Game is down for a moment. I do really like it for the most. I mean, ShoWTimE actually has the economy. I mean, he doesn't have the bases though, right? He's got probes, but only one base doesn't necessarily make much of a difference. Can he fight this Liberator? It's gonna be tough, right? Nope, he can't fight it. Oh my god. Top right base against ranged Lib is just unholdable. Unless you have a Stargate unit, and ShoWTimE does not have a Stargate unit. We can tell you that already. A bit more bio goes down, but now ShoWTimE, the one base he had to mine from, he can't actually mine from anymore. Stalkers are going to blink in over here. They're going to find a lot of the Libs that just aren't yet sieged. He's getting a lot of damage. I mean, souL just losing a lot of army. And a must-win moment perhaps for ShoWTimE as he realizes he can't mine any longer. He's long distancing to set up a base elsewhere, I imagine. No, he just warped in Zealots, actually. That's his plan. Warp in Zealots and use those to tank and to go for this. I mean, the medevac count's almost gone. These Stalkers get a blink in. They're going to get the medevacs for sure. And if the medevacs go down, this army can't heal. souL is still producing again. He's mining at the moment. Not a lot, but he's mining from the bottom side, 6 o'clock. He's losing so much of the bio, and I think he's losing out. I honestly think even after the nukes, ShoWTimE was genuinely winning this until... souL was still winning this until maybe just this set of fights. Like those Liberators going down. This is only an orbital command, so all of these SCVs are in trouble. And this is all but one of the SCVs on the map, so no more building up of anything else. He does have... Is that his last command center too? He's got one more orbital after this. It's in the main base, just floating across now. One SCV remains. He does have a nuke as well. But does he have any ghosts? He does not have any ghosts. ShoWTimE is still long distance mining, by the way. He could put a few probes on like the outside patches. You could even get the gas mining over here. 37 long distance mining workers. Oh, 0 SCVs. The SCV went down. I think it was actually up here for some reason. So now ShoWTimE long distancing is going to have an income lead over souL. Mining 300, 400 minerals a minute. And ShoWTimE leading 41 to 31 army supply. souL out of money. No way to really get anything else right now apart from mules off this orbital. Disruptor shots coming through. Marauders going down. I think the disruptors have done enough. ShoWTimE blinks forward. He's going to get the medevac. It's dead. It's gone. Game is cold, and ShoWTimE takes map 1 in 23 minutes. But what an awesome game. As souL loses out. Game number 2 in the bottom right-hand side. Our Red Protoss player leading somehow 1-0. This is our Red Protoss ShoWTimE. And the top left, a blue Terran from Cosmos. It's souL. Hey, thank you so much, Lenwood Turtle, for the $5 donation. Says thanks for the games. You're the best SCG content creator. Thank you so much for the $5 donation. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. We've had some real memeable moments today, guys. If you guys didn't see the shirt clip from souL earlier, honestly, this was like, what's the command? Shirt eating. If you guys need to watch this clip of souL, because souL mid-game starts eating his shirt. Not even joking. Mid-game started to eat his shirt. Honestly, it was the most confused I've ever been mid-cast. And hey, thank you so much. You just had a Patreon pledge from Alessandra. Thank you so much for the $2 pledge on Patreon. Alright, guys. Game number 2, best of 5, engineering bay block from souL. We've seen this a lot. We know how it works out. We're going to go factory pretty quickly after this barracks is done. So that will drop down around about now. There's going to be seeing our factory coming through. Then Cybernetics core about to finish up from ShoWTimE. I'm just going to be seeing the Nexus on the 3rd base. So yeah, it actually just goes Nexus on the 3rd. Says, you know what? Not going to fight that engineering bay. Not going to slow this down. Now, the thing is, souL goes fast factory. So he's going to have early pressure on the map. Taking your natural on the 3rd location is scary. Because now souL's attacks are going to be that much stronger because these two positions are harder to hold individually then these two positions, right? Main and natural, easier defense, then main and third base, especially Hellions. Like, how are you ever gonna wall off this third base from Hellions? There's no way. And that's why I've got no doubt in my mind that this was going to be Hellions from souL, especially because he knew what was going on. That's why he cancelled the NG bay. You know, once you force the third out of location, you say, right, cool, well, no need to keep the engineering bay there. I can cancel, get my CC a little faster. Hellions on the way now. The ShoWTimE with the Stargate, I think this time, because of the position of the bases, I think you have to go for a, I think you have to go Oracle. I don't think you go Phoenix. I think the Phoenix very safe overall, but I think the Oracle is just a bit better at maybe cleaning those Hellions up as they come into your base. Let's see what ShoWTimE decides. The Phoenix are good too, but I think the Phoenix are going to be better when you can block them one way and then, you know, deal with, like, you know, lift up one or two Hellions that get in somewhere else. In this case, the Hellions are going to get in, so you just want them to be there so the Oracle can just sit overhead and just put damage out to them. So Oracle it is. Might have been that ShoWTimE just wanted to switch it up anyway, but I'm 90% sure this Oracle just has to stay at home, and ShoWTimE knows that too, so yeah, he's seems to be the plan at the moment. Hellions running in. Oracle is gonna get the first Hellion already. Second Hellion goes down. Gonna get the third one, and yeah, this is what I mean. Oracle is just so good against like a Hellion run by like this. 3 probes, a little bit of a best probe pull. That is nothing in comparison to what could have been lost there for sure, so it's good defense. That's a wall-off. Wow, that's a wall-off? That blocks a Hellion? That's so sick. Doesn't slip through there. Can't slip past it. Wow, that's a really slick little wall-off. I don't think I've seen that before. Alright. Viking on the way up, gonna pop out and just gonna be seeing the command center in the corner. So souL gonna play a 3CC again, but ShoWTimE plays from a much stronger position this game, right? Doesn't take anywhere near the same amount of economic losses, so he's in a much stronger spot. He'll be able to afford everything in a much better timing. Now, last game he was really playing from behind from early on. He was sat back, he was playing defensively, he was dodging around. Oracle of ShoWTimE over on the right-hand side, just hanging out. Phoenix is going to pop from ShoWTimE as well. A couple of them already heading up through the center of the map. How many is he going to go up to? He's got 3 at the moment. He might just stop around 3. Depends what he sees from souL as well. When he sees the 3CC, he might just not go anymore because then he doesn't feel in danger of an attack. So he can just put more of his money into economy and like further tech rather than Phoenix, which might actually be good against some 2-base all-ins and stuff. You know, if you get up to, you know, if you're up against a 2-base, you might want a couple more Phoenix just to maximize the Phoenix you've got for lifting. Because lifting up those siege tanks there can be extremely important. Mistborn in the chat says, I've never noticed how much assimilators look like overweight Phoenix. Yeah, kind of. Like kind of not, but kind of, you know? It's almost like a Phoenix Oracle crossover. Like, it's kind of got the ball of the Oracle, but yeah. Yeah, this was such a random comment. I just had to stop and check. Oh, the beautiful stasis ward will just delay that third CC by that little bit longer. One Marine here should be able to get caught outside of the stasis range without blocking the CC. Perfect. So yeah, gets that CC landed without having to do anything crazy. Doesn't have to drop a scan or anything ridiculous. And just going to be seeing Phoenix going to continue around the middle of the map, sorry. Now I'm just imagining simulators flying around, lifting up. Can someone tag nice username, please? We need Joey to make a simulators flying around the map that lift up units, and we need Phoenix to be the assimilators. Oh. Alright, guys. Getting a little bit more serious here, Secret Tech gifting out to Mistborn for the comments on the 4-month reset. Welcome back. Alright, Stimpak is about to be done in this main base, and that means that the Terran can maybe start to think about being aggressive again. Obviously, once you're going into 3 CCs like this, you're generally pretty passive until you get up to those bio upgrades. This has all happened pretty quickly. ShoWTimE's just taking his own third. That was obviously the natural, but yeah, he's gone up to 3 bases himself. Templar Archives is coming through from ShoWTimE as well. So a few Phoenix from ShoWTimE just going to continue their way along. Now, they're going to get to the middle. They're going to find a Viking. They're going to lift the Cyclone. He actually saves the Phoenix that was getting targeted. That's a nice couple pickoffs already. And he's going to see an inkling sign of the Bio army on its way. So now he knows a little bit about what souL is up to. That souL is on his way across the map. ShoWTimE's Warp Prism going to move out to the far left side. I mean, that's obviously great. It's the right time for it as well. souL is so committed across this bottom side. And he's actually already pulling a few units over here to deal with his Adept. It's perfect time for this Warp Prism to make a play. Now, we do have Charge. We do have Colossi. Tanks already set up very defensively. So souL's actually really looking to set up here. ShoWTimE going to pop a Guardian Shield, pull back a little bit. He's got 1 battery in the mineral line. The tanks are already just in range to deal damage. Good force field going to hit a lot of the Marauders. And the Phoenix going to come through, lift up 3 of the tanks. All 4 tanks get lifted. Now no damage from those coming out. Okay, now 1 of them, 2 of them, 3 of them get back on the ground. This is where the Colossi need to be careful, as they are being careful. The Zealots are in across the map as well. We'll check in on them in a few moments. He loses both the Colossi. And we will see the Medevac going to try and save the tanks. The Phoenix on top. 5 SCVs killed by the Zealots. Tanks have to switch Medevac because the Phoenix was going to get the kill. Had to stop off 1 fly, get on another. Alright, we're just going to be seeing a couple tanks getting back across. All these ghosts finishing, couple Marauders coming through, 2-2 upgrades. Getting going on the forges, so getting that set up as well as the Bio Army of souL. Out down the left-hand side, we do have the rest of this around the top. Gonna make its way out along the right-hand side. Prism. Caught by Vikings. This is a really nice catch. Oh, don't tell me it gets inside. Oh, I mean, obviously the units are here. The Prism's actually going to escape up the top left. He might be able to recall it out. Depends where souL was looking. He might just assume the Marines got the kill. So they might even... I mean, ShoWTimE gets the recall off, so it is out alive. Still pushing. He's pushing the left. He's pushing the right. Good EMPs, and again, those Archons, they just melt the EMPs like that. At the same time, no EMPs on the left side, and the Archons then do really well. Even going to get one of the Medevac kills. Right now, ShoWTimE's still chasing in over here. And tanks getting low. Both players kind of dishing out damage, blow for blow. Yeah, these 2 disruptors going to pop a couple sensor towers, setting up as a 5th command center from souL comes in on the right-hand side. Alan in the Nexus on the bottom left. He's kind of wanting to go for the Zealot there. I was just going to be seeing ShoWTimE is continuing through. Plus, it's dealing some damage. Marines taking hits. Archons coming forwards. The Disruptor already getting blown up, but at the same time, the Warp Prism is back. Second time looking. The 2 Vikings are still here. They're like, wait, haven't we seen you before? And the Prism's like, you let me through last time. I'm okay, guys, right? You already saw me coming back. They're like, but how did you get out again? And that's when they knew they should make the kill. So let's get on top of these tanks. Obviously, we're at the stage of the game where tanks are just not as great as they used to be, and that's why you don't see more tank production. It's Ghosts and it's Liberators, and That's the late game here from souL. Now, ShoWTimE. Last game, I feel like he was always playing from that little bit behind, a little bit from the deficit. So I would love to see what he can do here to bring him back, put himself into a better position in the late game, because he wasn't really in a great spot for fighting late game last time in the slightest. This game, maybe he can put himself in a better spot. He's already getting, Shadow Stride going up, right? The biggest fear I have are those Liberators, and I think against those Liberators, maybe we even need to start talking about the potential of Tempest or so. I don't know if we're there yet. I mean, how many libs are there? There's none on the map so far. But when Advanced Ballistics kicks in, that Liberator range, plus, like, you get to 8-10 libs, this army of ShoWTimE is going to struggle to fight. There's just going to be positions you cannot fight into because you got to respect those Liberators. Taking EMPs again. The Disruptor shot grabs a Ghost. That was trailing along the back edge of that there. A couple of depots going down. Refinery in the bunker is going to continue to drop too. SCVs pull in to repair up this orbital command. So, orbital gets healed. Again, 8 SCVs have fallen with the DTs. Well, ShoWTimE wanted to keep bringing these DTs through the top side, and maybe thinking about blinking into the third, but doesn't commit in the end. We've got this 2 medevacs on the bottom. And drop straight into this. A couple of these probes taking some damage. Now, Drilling Claws is about to complete here from souL. As you see all of these libs coming up, the few Marauders, the Marine. Right-hand side picks off the pylon and just keeping, again, a bit of the army away right now. DT is swiping through this command center on the top. The SCV is continuing to go down as well. Command center has to lift up. Stalker's going to blink through, going to get the Liberator. Make that a second lib. So a couple libs going down and another Disruptor shot that will not quite connect. And we're just maxed out, waiting to see who can win it out in this late game. I mean, ShoWTimE, I love what he's got right now. I'm just, again, still afraid of those libs. With DTs and Zealots on to run around the map, I mean, you can see souL's problem. He's also only on 4 bases. Like, ShoWTimE's trying to go up to base 6 and he's not having much luck. But where's souL's base 5 going to be? Far left side? This back side? I mean, that's where ShoWTimE controls... No, that's how ShoWTimE controls the map right now, basically. It's looking real good in that regard. DTs and Zealots get into the left-hand side. I mean, only a few SCVs going down, but now you've got DTs that are going to show up on the right side as well. They can just... I mean, they're going to get this base kill right away. Hey, there's no missile turret here. Obviously, a scan could come down. That's what happened on the left. But ShoWTimE just still gets sent up into base 6. If he gets this base too, this rich Vespene base, well, then you're talking about a ridiculous amount of gas income. And if you can get that much gas income going your way, you're going to have a really good time. Some pros were sacrificed. As these Stalkers just going to trade out with the Liberators. He's going to get 3 of the kills. Gets the Siege Tank. I'm kind of surprised to see even more Siege Tanks arrive into the game. There's only an orbital over here, these DTs. Question is, do you want to blink in for the orbital, or what do you want to do? He's going to blink away from the Widowmine shot, but now they get caught! Maybe it wasn't the prettiest moment to blink, but at the same time, a lot of army to the right side, and maybe we can see something happen over on this left, on this right side now with ShoWTimE. This is the Stalkers to the Liberators, though, and again, they are definitely becoming the biggest problem of all. You can't let that Stalker count fall too low, because then future fights you're going to struggle a lot fighting those libs. So into the central acceleration zones. I mean, that's the side of the map that ShoWTimE will just defend. He just says, nope, okay, you're not coming through here, not in the slightest. Turn around to the bottom left-hand side. Cannon. Supervisor's going to try and save it. I mean, a couple of EMPs came in to help initially. And this is forcing the issue a little bit from souL, perhaps. Obviously, this is where the Disruptors are great. They can push units back despite the Liberators. I don't think ShoWTimE's going to get this base up for long, keep this base up for long, but he is expanding to the right as well. These DTs are going to kill this planetary. There's no two ways about it. Doesn't even have to blink in for it. I would have liked him to blink in, just less time for the SCVs to respond, but that's good. And he's going to start blinking out with a couple of the DTs as well. Again, denying economy right now is one of the main points of this game. And ShoWTimE's doing a beautiful job of it. Maybe wasn't expecting these libs to still be here, though. That was 4 disruptors that just died. For absolutely no reason as well. Like, that just did not need to happen. At all. Marine gets picked off by that cannon. So what? I mean, where are we going? Obviously, a lot of back and forth here. It really is still from ShoWTimE just saying, hey, you know, I'm just going to keep on trying to deny eco. The big thing is, though, now this base comes back up from souL, and he gets the left side. He's finally on 5 bases. But you could argue the same thing for ShoWTimE. He's finally on 6 bases, so he's still staying a base up. He's still staying in the comfort zone. And there's just no medevac healing on this army here, and just not enough of it. And now, getting caught a little bit, some liberators going down. That's the expensive part from souL as well. I think he's losing so much in those libs. ShoWTimE's lost more in the game, though. 29 to 26k resources. It's been an expensive set of trade-offs so far. A real expensive set of trade-offs. Team more disruptors coming in. The disruptor shots are pretty decent here. ShoWTimE needs this one. Hits a ghost as well. Hits another ghost. The ghost obviously great units to get. Blinks the stalkers back to let the zealots lead against the siege tank. ShoWTimE again just constantly on this other side of the map. He's never just making one attack at a time. He's always got the second attack elsewhere on the other side, making life difficult. ShoWTimE making this entire game difficult so far for souL. Coming in here now, gets a liberator. DTs are going to blink forward on top of this bio army. Stalker's going to get another liberator. And the DT is continuing to try and help out here, but the scan was down. Now we're going to see souL is actually going to lose this left-hand side base. And we just talked about how so very important it was that he was keeping this alive. He actually is keeping this alive. Disruptor shot will get rid of a few extra SCVs. The burst damage will help. souL goes charging down the right side, but it's all of a sudden just falling apart. ShoWTimE denying a very, very important base. Keeping the fights on both sides. I just think it was too much for souL to keep up with. And a very well played game from ShoWTimE. Going to put him up 2-0 in this best of 5. I mean, souL played a great set of games so far. It's not over yet. But souL definitely was winning that first game, threw it away. This is a really close game too, but ShoWTimE just liked his moves a lot more. And I think they really paid off for him in the end. He's been rewarded. Some very cool play that souL just wasn't really able to replicate. And ShoWTimE didn't just take the far left base, he took this third as well. You know, when you take one base, he's going to take them all, apparently. And now he's going to retake his own expansion on the left-hand side. Maxed out. Bank is starting to build up 35 workers. Over double the army supply. ShoWTimE looking very good on Death Lore. I mean, I'm hoping this isn't going to be our third 3-0 of the day, though. I know it's only going to be 2-0 now, but, you know, I really hope it's not going to be our third 3-0 of the day. Just going to say that now, touch wood, and hope it isn't. Here he goes. I'll charge in from the right side. Stalkers from the back are going to shut down the libs. These two-pronged attacks converge on the final army of souL to take ShoWTimE 2-0 and on to match point in this series. Can he close it out with one more map? That's our question. Going top right-hand side, we do have our blue Protoss player taking the lead in the series now 2-0. Looking freaking fantastic so far. This is ShoWTimE. Up against the red Terran in the bottom left from Cosmos Esports. We've got souL. Game 3 of the best of 5 as we set up here. Look to see how this one is gonna go. Like I say, I started this series off. I was very excited about it. I was full of energy for it, and so far it's delivering. Even if it is a 3-0 at the end of the day, I think these games have been worthy of an awesome series anyway, you know? Like, it's been really, really sick. Probe comes in, nibbles the depot. Goes to the other side, nibbles that depot. Comes back to the middle, nibbles the barracks. He's just hungry for Terran structures. He doesn't know what tastes best. Undercooked depot before it's finished building. Fresh depot already complete, or the barracks. He seemed to like the barracks the most. It's a Marine. Smart by the probe to take a step away so he doesn't get a step to death. And it gives him the information it is a Marine and not the Reaper. Obviously, if a Marine didn't spawn there, he'd have started to run away because then you know it's a Reaper by the timing. But by the Marine, he knew, he took the step back. And if the Marine comes down and gets a step ahead of you as the probe, that's when you can still lose the probe in that scenario. So, nicely done. Alright, well, do you have a Reaper of Soul going to make its way to the top left side? So, Marine into the Reaper. In the end, the Reaper comes through to pick up a bit of information for ShoWTimE, see what he can gather here as he comes across the map. Sentry with a couple of laser beams to tickle away at the Reaper so far. Now the Adept shows up to put some damage onto it. Reaper takes a shot of damage. And meanwhile, our Stalker Chrono boosting away on the gateway. This nation gonna head along to the left-hand side. Warp gate building up. While I cancel our choice from ShoWTimE as mentioned, it just means that he's probably gonna play in a blink. No Stargate this game. I don't like it. Finally changing it up a little bit from what we've seen earlier. And I think a map you can really do that on. You're walled at the front against Hellions. You're not really reliant on something like Phoenix to necessarily defend for you here. Just need a split of units to be able to set up. Did I say Corona boosting? No, I said Corona boosting. Which I think in my slang, sometimes I say it's like, oh, he's Corona boosting. And it sounds like Corona. And then you guys put a car. Then you guys spell it out the wrong way. And yeah, I think when I'm just talking fast, sometimes I say Corona boosting instead of Chrono boosting. I don't emphasize the last O, you know? People have been saying this ever since, like, since March. Like, Wardy, did you say this? I'm like, literally nobody has ever asked me if I've said something other than Chrono when I've talked about Chrono until now. You know? It's because you've got it on your minds. The pandemic, it's in your heads. What can I say? Blink. Building from ShoWTimE with a couple of barracks in the main base. I mean, no 3cc this time from souL makes sense. Bit of a smaller map. Definitely possible to make a push across on a map like Pillars of Gold. Especially, you know, this area here, you can even bunker it up if you want to push down. That or you can work from the high ground down as well. There's a few different directions depending on what you're hoping to achieve. souL, he's actually set up to go Widow Mines early, so probably not going to focus on anything bunker related. Even the initial push is not going to be like super powered up because the real power of those early pushes are generally the siege tanks sitting in the back lines. So there's probably just going to be a good bit of bio-harassment into that next step. And goes down. Obviously, it's just looking for information. I already found it. Saw the Twilight, saw the Robo, sees 3 gases as well. No gas here. Means that you're only playing 3 gas. It is very gateway heavy initially, and give another minute or so, maybe a bit less, ShoWTimE will start to think about moving off of this unless he's going to go extremely committed across the map. He is adding gates and he's putting down an Immortal, which makes me wonder if he does want to get aggro. Like, the gates aren't super weird. The Immortal is maybe going to give him some options. I think initially just defensively, though, is what he wants to set up for. But there's a Prism. The other thing to look at is when's he going to add a Forge in. Right now, he's looking to play very far behind on upgrades. So that kind of, you know, really does continue to suggest this idea of potentially playing a very aggressive game. As the Stalkers show up, pushing a couple of Marines back. And now this Widow Mine of souL comes boosting up through the top side. Gonna drop in 1 and 2 Widow Mines. Gonna burrow those up. And ShoWTimE gonna lose a couple zealots. Alright, well, that acts as a distraction. Meanwhile, the main army is making its way across the map. Prism is just gonna go take a few zealots across. Still just playing through gases, so still not teching up into Temple Archives or anything like that. No splash damage available. souL will get high ground and he will deny a pylon. And then maybe even the Cybernetics on top of it. souL at home actually has a good amount of units as well, so yeah, ShoWTimE gonna have to do some rebuilding. He actually gets supply block losing that pylon, and new pylons aren't ready just yet. He does get the Widow Mine in the back of the natural though, without any issues. But this Warbin, well, it's gonna get to go off the Warbin at least, but it shouldn't trade super well. The Zealot's nice lift up. And drop back down in the mineral line and actually get some of the lower health SCVs to now get 3 kills in total. Job well done. Drop on the main base at the same time though for souL, supported by the Raven. And souL is everywhere, and this is the sort of game that souL loves to play. Attacking everywhere really holds the momentum of the game, doesn't give ShoWTimE a chance to get back into it at all. It's just souL really dominating what happens early now. ShoWTimE, he is on 3 base much earlier than souL. He's still got a lot of production. There's the Temple Archive, so again, waiting for gases to come down shortly. Does this army want to make a move across the map? I don't think it really, like it does, but I don't think it should. The army supply is not really there to make something happen aggressively. Down an upgrade. Unless it's just going to add in High Templar and just go for this. For now, warps in 4 more zealots, and well, souL's actually going to move to the middle. He's actually going to find this. ShoWTimE will get some decent force fields to start, though. Blinks forward. He knew the medevac was going to come in for the save. Doesn't manage to stop it. Now what? Now souL goes for the Doom Drop. Loads up everything. ShoWTimE just has no vision of that. The Prism going to be hit by a Viking. We'll still get into the main, but man, this is the big deal. Recall is coming down. And ShoWTimE fight this. It's Stalkers and Zealots against a lot of bio. He kind of needs some favorable Widow Mines to go onto this army. The Zealots do arrive on the other side. They're starting to kill SCVs. And there's still so many Widow Mines left to fire as Immortals showing up. Immortals are important help against the Marauders. ShoWTimE's just losing so much army supply here. The Zealots get cleaned up across the map for a minimal amount of worker kills, and even if this is a cleanup from ShoWTimE, he still loses so much army running into this position, right? This is still a super effective trade from souL. You can see it in resources lost. 4k to 8k. It's not even close, and ShoWTimE knows it. He can feel that these games have not been going his way. Or this game has not been going his way. And we go into a game number 4. We are not going to have a 3-0. He will get at least one more map between. As on the bottom left-hand side, our blue Terran player able to take a map, able to keep this series interesting, as he got off to a very strong start. It is souL against the red Protoss in the top right-hand corner of the map. Let's hear it for cheering on ShoWTimE as we get into a 4th game. souL and ShoWTimE battling it out. Nothing like a TVP on Jagannatha to close out the day. Well, good for you. This isn't going to close out the day because we got a TVZ best of 5 coming up after this. A Laser and Clem still to play tonight. Our other winner bracket semi-final. Again, we will then continue with the rest of the lower bracket tomorrow in the WardiTV European League. And on Sunday, we play our winner bracket, lower bracket final, and also the grand final. So we still got some games to come this event this week. And again, when we wrap up on Sunday, we're going to be announcing the new big WardiTV event, is the current plan still. Progress continues forward with that. So that is coming out on a Sunday evening. Hopefully you guys are excited to see what we've got planned for you guys. Cybercore building up here from ShoWTimE. Nexus building on the 3rd base. As he does get Engineering Bay blocked, so pretty much a repeat of what we see on Death Aura. Yeah, obviously the Engineering Bay actually finishes here, which means he doesn't get a cancel. So a little bit of a shame for souL. Usually you want to cancel that and get some of your money back, but In this case, he just forgets to. He lets it finish up by mistake, by accident. That's obviously a little bit unfortunate. Meanwhile, SCV is from souL all the way back down the bottom left corner. Cybercore, Chrono Boost now that Warp Gate. The Adept going to pop out a Stalker to follow. And yeah, so far so good still, as our Adept is going to shade on through all the way out and down to the middle of the map. It's Hellions again from souL. I mean, to be fair, he's had really good starts off the Hellions, but I mean, I guess it comes back to kind of what we saw on this map previously, right? On this setup previously, on Death Aura. Obviously not this map, but the same setup, the same builds, where, you know, you force this Nexus to go out over here, and how are you meant to wall that off against Hellions? Well, you kind of don't. This time, ShoWTimE's follow-up is going to be 2 gateways. This is pretty cool, because if ShoWTimE goes across the map aggressively, and souL is building, like, Hellions to run by, and, oh, I'm going to run by, I'm going to, like, burn your mineral lines. What's actually going to kill, like, Stalkers warping in 3 at a time? I mean, the answer, I'll give it to you guys for free. Nothing, really. Like, nothing that souL is currently building or has on the map. He still doesn't have a tech lab ready. So, this push is very scary. Like, very scary. He has 1 Adept and 1 Stalker still set up on the natural. He will watch for where these Hellions go to. He doesn't just want to give up his entire mineral line, but there is nothing over here defensively. And 4 Stalkers already showing up. He's going to cancel his bunker on the low ground. Okay, he's going to have to warp in the next 2 Stalkers in the main base. He still wants to defend this mineral line. As those Stalkers move up, and they're targeting down a depot, but there's a couple of Marines they could kill as well. I mean, the depot is important because by getting rid of the depot, what you're going to be able to do is you're basically going to give yourself free entry into that base forever. Now, ShoWTimE takes a lot of damage. They've got a lot of time here for ShoWTimE to deal damage of his own. Continuing to warp in now. He already started to send the Stalkers across the map as soon as he possibly could. A Viking will build because a landed Viking does very well against these Stalkers too. Siege tank about to pop out. ShoWTimE, he's actually going to go the right direction for the tank, but 2 of the Stalkers get caught by the SCVs. It's a huge problem, but he does get the tank. New tank starting, Viking on the way. Oh, losing the Stalkers is huge, though. That's another Marine. I mean, right now, none of these SCVs are mining, remember. ShoWTimE just going to sit here, just going to trade it out with these Stalkers. I think I got a few more SCVs, to be fair, if he target fired. There's other Stalkers showing up at the front, and they're going to start making their way in. The only issue I now have is that there's a Viking and soon to be a tank as well, and that damage might be too much, but 5 Stalkers now, the Adept also. You can already see that ShoWTimE's done a lot here, right? He never had to pull his probes like souL did. The tank is going to get sieged, and that might just put an end to the all-out aggression, but that's another dead depot. That's a lifted command center flying into the main, and this is not a natural expansion you take anytime soon, so ShoWTimE rebuilds very, very nicely off of this. Hey, there's Orbital taking a lot of damage. ShoWTimE is going to try to get the kill. The SCVs get there in time. The Adept commits into the main. He is actually just going to go in and go for the siege tank. He pulled the units away. The Viking and the Marines out of position. He gets the tank. He's going to get himself the Viking. And now the Orbital command is not being repaired. Maybe he could get the Orbital. He's just going to go for every single unit possible. He knows how important creating out units are right now. SCV is probably going to get us around once more, but you'll get even more workers. This time he'll recall the Stalkers. And the pressure from ShoWTimE worked wonderfully. It just made so much sense. The moment he added on those 2 gateways, he knew what souL wanted to do. souL has done this a couple times now. It became very predictable. And yeah, it became very predictable. ShoWTimE figured it out. And he came up with a really, really good response to this. Now, Orbital Command is still burning down. He's going to send SCVs to fix it. ShoWTimE, honestly, I feel like he could have, during the game at some point, maybe just gone for this. Problem right now is 1 tank just doesn't do enough. SCVs get the repair for a little while. This time the Stalkers can actually just kite backwards. And they're just going to come back in, and that's going to be GG. Too much from ShoWTimE, I like it. Switching it up, bringing the aggression to game number 4. Really identified what souL was doing early. Knew he had a really good answer to it, and he executed it spot on as well. He got caught a couple of times. So that was a job well done. Good job by ShoWTimE. Great series overall. Really enjoyable full maps to StarCraft 2. Hey, ShoWTimE still really delivered. Let's hope the next one does